Right, here I am at the very top of the Temple of the Sacred Heart. Thankfully, a massive group of Spanish kids, apparently here on a tour group, who had got in early and were just occupying this entire space, have gone. Anyway, I'm going to get some panoramic shots of Barcelona momentarily, but that there, and you can see the mist in the mountains there, that way is to the northwest, which was the road I took from Andorra to here. So if you go through that pass, is the beginning of the Pyrenees and up into Andorra. It was a beautiful drive. Okay, so the money shot. Right, I'm going to attempt a 360 here. Quite fun that the bell is very far below me. Yeah, I must admit, man, I'm glad I won my polarized Ray-Bans this morning, because the glare from the clouds, the sun, the sea, and of course from the refracted polarized light is blinding up here. Quite fun with the four kind of levels going down. So there is the platform, there is the lower area, and then at the very bottom.
Just want to get out of the
You know, I kind of like this. In this little nook here, you have 5 stained glass windows, and they all depict a feminine saint from around the Catholic, Latin, Hispanic world. You've got a lady from Cuba, from Mexico, from Argentina, and the Philippines as well, which is really quite cool. Yeah, okay, so it's bigger than I thought. This depicts all of the Hispanic nations, and they're represented throughout this entire basilica, which is actually pretty awesome. Yeah, man. When you're looking for a place to sit for lunch. Right, so down and out the front of the basilica, managed to find myself an awesome seat built into the facade of the basilica in the shade. Have some lunch, well, proto lunch really. I have my flask full of Earl Grey, of course, and I also do have a few of the mini muffins I had the presence of mind to swipe from the breakfast buffet this morning. So I'm going to sit and chill for a minute. I've got a 45-minute hike down the mountain, albeit all downhill, of course. And then I'm headed to the Park Güell. So, last thing before I go. I mentioned earlier a man called Don Bosco. His name was John Melchior Bosco, and he was an Italian Catholic priest. He was born in 1815, and he died on the 31st of January 1888 and was canonized almost immediately after his death. Universally loved, universally respected. I mean, he, while working in Turin, I'm going to Turin fairly soon, he became very, well, I'm not sure that depressed is really the right word, motivated through sadness because of, in the advent of serious industrialization, urbanization, he dedicated his life to helping, supporting, aiding disadvantaged youth, whether it was juvenile delinquents, whether it was street kids, whether it was kids who'd been hurt and disabled children. And he developed a system that became known as the Salesian preventative system. His idea was based on love and support rather than punishment. Obviously, the 1800s were not a happy time for children who weren't privileged. And very quickly, he became trusted. And of course, we these days have become slightly inured to the Catholic clergy for various dark reasons. Not a jot. Nothing has ever been laid at his door in that regard. He is just universally loved, respected, and adored. In addition to his charitable work and how he dedicated his entire life to helping very disadvantaged people, he also, using his platform, as it were, he had churches built, including a beautiful one in Rome. I think I mentioned that earlier. And I mean, the term Don Bosco, for Occidental types like myself, we think of, the Godfather and that kind of thing. He did have that kind of clout. There's a mosaic indoors of him sitting on a, very nice chair on a raised dais with a guy in a full suit and a handlebar mustache kneeling in front of him and asking him for something. Anyway, he came here towards the end of his life and was, of course, welcomed with open arms. And he gave his blessing for this church to be built here. That was a big deal. And shortly thereafter, the person who owned Tibidabo, which is the name of the mountain, which is the name of this whole area, the land was donated to enable the church to be built. I mean, the original chapel was begun in Don Bosco's lifetime. The actual, I think I mentioned earlier, the actual foundation stone was laid in 1902, and it wasn't completed until 1961. I took quite a lot of footage inside, and it's very, very modern and clean. The architect was John Sanier, and he didn't live to see it finished. His son finished it off. And like I say, it's a beautiful location and a very lovely reflection of the Sacre-Cœur in Paris, with a very similar kind of kick, on top of a mountain, beautiful view of the entire city, enviable location, and Christ the Redeemer with his arms open at the top. Anyway, I have to get cracking. Actually got quite a long way to go. So, trying to find my way down the mountain. The route, according to Google Maps, I spotted a reasonably good path going straight down the mountain that I'm currently employing, and watching my feet because it is rocky as fuck. So being careful, but I estimate this should shave 20 minutes off my time, which is excellent. Anyway, yes, yeah, when it comes to being sketchy, I give this path a solid 3. It's pretty good. Fun sketchy as opposed to mildly scary sketchy. Right, most of the way down now. I've been having a lot of fun. That path down from there, it was really quite sketchy, and now I'm on kind of like a serious, quite broad path almost down, so they're familiar in the background. A very welcome breeze has picked up and the sun has gone in, which pleases me a little because I did put on factor 50 this morning, but I've been walking and sweating for about 4 hours now, so you know, I'm glad that it's given me a respite where that's concerned. As things stand, despite all my mini muffins, I am now ravenous, so I'm going to find some lunch and then head to the park well. Right, the path forked and I found myself in what can only be described as a gully. I'm assuming when the rains are heavy they pour down here like a flume, and only intrepid persons such as myself and the occasional absolutely insane suicide cyclist makes it down here, which is cool. Yeah, man, whoever did this reminds me of me because all that needs is a tiny little lick and that will go up in a very nice little fire, and some chairs to boot. I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes. You know, it's moments like this I fucking live for. Halfway down a mountain, randomly come across a mini campsite with a reclining chair and a footstool, drinking Earl Grey tea, and I've just looked at Google Maps and I have to strike out that way just a bit, but I'm pretty much on track here. Yeah, and I can just see a very, very fast moving yacht out to sea. Probably it's prepped for the America's Cup. There's the Women's America's Cup just offshore here about this kind of time. Damn, that's moving fast. I won't be able to get it. Maybe I will get it. That's moving very, very fast. Nice. Right, best laid plans. My route was impeded somewhat by the road had been completely cut off for construction. So I had to backtrack about 10 minutes and trying to find a way down the hill. I found my way into this still used, judging by the dates, but fairly ramshackle cemetery. And it's set up like crypt style with, you know, with alcoves for each family. Yeah. It's beautiful, but it's untended and run down, which is sad. A weird sculpture of a submarine. So I found, after 2 failed attempts at stopping by a cafe and ordering patatas bravas, found a kebab shop, had a very satisfying kebab, and then following my nose as always, and I'm on track for the Parc Güell. I just noticed this escalators going up the entire hill, and considering my knees are about to fall off, I am very happy about that. Whee! Yeah. 16,000 steps so far today. Busy day. But like I say, the escalator goes up the entire hill to the park, which is brilliant. So, as things stand, made it all the way to the top of the hill to find that the park itself had sold out of tickets. I expected the actual houses to be sold out. I didn't expect the park to be sold out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But still, my bad. So, walk down the hill. I'm up to 19,000 steps. And I'm just going to get to a metro station, go back and relax because my legs are falling off.